Hello, my price action friends. It's been a long time, but I'm back from the dead. I wanted to look at today just a review of Mack's own charts here. I wanted to see what's kind of happening in the order book. So, beyond just a price chart, what's actually happening with buyers and sellers, and see what we can see about the trades that he calls out, if anything. We'll just take it as it comes and kind of talk about it. So the first trade happens right after the open, and then he's got another one happening about 8:33. You've got the topper here. You've got about what is that? 8:37. Then it comes down, and then you don't have a trade for quite some time in here till about 9 o'clock. So we'll take a look at about through there and then be done. I want this to be kind of a quick video. Just a quick rundown here, what you're looking at. You don't have to worry about much over here. This is just counting the trades that happen at certain price levels. This is counting when a big buyer or seller comes in. It's set at a minimum size of 50. So anybody that trades over a 50 lot will pop up here. We're not really going to worry about any of this stuff. Here is the order book. So this is where people are sitting in the order book, like where buyers and sellers are lying in wait, right? So if you've ever seen a dome before, it's kind of like a visual of the dome. So 240 is one of the biggest places that buyers are lined up. I'm sorry, they're lined up at 27.19, 240 contracts there. And since it's one of the bigger ones, it's one of the darker colors here. And as the volume gets lighter of people waiting to trade, so do the colors until it blacks out when there's just not very many waiting. And then it kind of starts, you know, as it moves up, it starts getting kind of blue and darker blue until it starts getting into these yellowish, orangish colors. So that's what you're looking at. And we're about to hit the open at 8:30. You'll start seeing these little watermelon looking fellows that come up, and they're a pie chart, a visual of buyers and sellers that happen at a certain time frame, at a certain price. There you get those popping in because the open's happening, so a lot of people are trading. I've got that set at a minimum volume of 500. So if less than 500 volume trades at a certain price at a certain time, it won't pop up. It is subject to a little bit of manipulation. Like if I zoom in, they go away because there's not enough volume on that zoomed in time frame. If you pull out, it compresses the time frame, if that makes sense, and more volume can be compressed into a certain time frame. I hope that makes sense. That's what we're looking at. So this is where Mack marks the first trade. It makes total sense. It comes back to this level here. I hope you can see that on a horizontal level. All right. It comes back, pops there at that level. You could have seen that without any help over here. But one interesting thing that does happen, if I can get that to come back up at a certain volume, is you see this seller that came in down here. This is actually more, I found this is very common, and I was quite surprised about it. But I think it has to do with like stop runs and so, or exhausting out sort of kind of thing. It came down, and then you had a group of sellers, but it went up. So why would that be? Is you had buyers that had been sitting here. They saw this level 2. So you had buyers sitting there waiting to buy. And then anybody that bought here, well, not anybody, but enough people had a stop down here. So if the price went below here, they were going to stop. And so what happens is it comes down, smashes those stops, pops up here. It looks like a bunch of sellers, but it doesn't go down because really what you did is you hit the stops. That gave buyers enough, because you need sellers to have buyers. There has to be a match. So enough sellers were there for the buyers to push it back up. Hope that makes sense. It's just something I found quite fascinating about watching the order book is you'll see like, you know, a bunch of buyers will happen at the top, and then it'll start dropping because the buyers have exhausted out, or you hit a bunch of buy stops, and that's what the sellers needed to start pushing it. They needed those buyers there so they could make their trades. And it's kind of interesting to think about in that context because I had never thought about that before. And so that kind of helps, like when you start thinking, where are people's stops? what could be happening if it came down and hit those stops and then it starts going up. You say, oh, maybe we ran those stops and now we've trapped them. All right. So this is about the next trade that Mack marks is right in here. Again, it makes sense. You know, if you're looking at a horizontal level, it doesn't come down here. It gets close by one tick. And this is where buyers came in before. You see that they kind of popped in here when it started dropping to this level. They were down that one more tick, so they knew right where to wait. And so they were there supporting. And you can see that in advance. You've got time. You know, if you see that and your hypothesis is, oh, they were waiting right here about that same level, I'm going to get in because I think the odds are in my favor. You know, nothing in trading is guaranteed, of course, but it could help. And so I think these were two good marked trades from Mack. They make sense in the book when we look at the order book. And now we're moving back up. Let's start speeding this up a little bit so you don't have to sit here with me all day. You know, you see these sellers come in and it wasn't enough. And then the buyers start coming in and that pushes it up. So actually, I think that's where Mack marked it was there. Now that I think about it, let's go back real quick. Yeah, he marked it there. So this is about where Mack marks that trade. So that is where the volume happened. I think it was better to do it down here when you saw these buyers come in to support that level. But he had it here, and that is where the volume came in. One of the downsides of this program is based on how you zoom, it can change the information it gives you. Kind of makes things confusing sometimes, but we'll work with it. All right, so Mack bought there. That is where the volume happened. So let's see. Let's get up to that point where it reverses. See if any information comes out of that. Aha. Slow this sucker down. So this is where it reverses. This is interesting. So you have this long line of liquidity. These are sellers that have been sitting here for quite some time. More sellers than at other points of the book. That's why it's darker here. And then what happens? It's just what happened back here when I was talking about right there when it hit the stops, or it trapped people, you know, however you want to look at it. Comes up here. That's almost all buyers, right? It's almost all buyers. So maybe up in this area, there were a bunch of buy stops. The sellers hit them, or, you know, I'm not a genius. I don't know. Whatever else happened, maybe the sellers trick these guys. You know, maybe it comes up. These are all the people coming in late. They say, oh, I don't want to miss out on this move. So they all buy right there, right? But they bought where all the sellers unknowingly were lying in wait. It pushes up just a little bit more. That's what the sellers need, the institutions or the boogeyman, whoever you think about. You know, they have finally enough buyers to start pushing it back down. You know, if that makes sense or that's confusing, you know, let me know in the comments if that, because this is something that I've been watching for a few weeks now. It happens over and over and over. You get a, you know, like an overbought right here, or they're trapped or they're tricked, pushes up just a little bit more. The sellers needed that. They needed those buyers so they could sell. So the institution has enough to sell their big lots to push it down. And then here you can see they came back in with more selling, and that's when it drops. Now Mack had a sell here, I believe. I don't know. You know, I wouldn't have got in there. I guess he considers that a second entry down. It's a really ugly one. It's even ugly on his chart. So I'm not sure what it was there that he liked so much. Let's see, let's speed this up. Let's see if we get any further information coming out of this. Now, if you're watching this in real time, you're watching some of this micro stuff play out. So like you see, this gets a little bit darker, a little more sellers piled in here. So, you know, I don't know if your hypothesis is that it's going to come back to this price point or what. So that could have been information, or this could trick you right here. Some buyers came in. You think maybe they could support that level. That's 27.20. That's not really where it should be. You know, it should be down here at 27.19. So I don't know if this information would be helpful or detrimental, because you can't always trust what buyers and sellers are pretending they're going to do. So let's see if this plays out and gives us anything to go on. There's no big volume dots. This is where kind of the bulk of buying and selling has happened, is in this zone. And there you go. So if I had slowed that down enough, that might have happened too quickly. Boom. All right. So you get that. So if your hypothesis is it's coming down, you're not worried about this level anymore. You know, you get boom, 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 seller, seller, seller. You get these little dojis you can get in on the end of that bar. Man, that's gold, right? So that was like a gimme trade right there. That's what the order book can do for you on occasion. It can give you those gimmies. Like, there was no doubt. It was just boom, boom, seller, 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 sellers. Gives you dojis, gives you plenty of time to get in. And away it goes. Comes back down to this price level. That's probably where I would have, about this area. If I had gotten in here or something, I probably would have had my target around here. Had a decent amount of volume. Nothing to do here as far as I see. I don't think Mack marked anything over here either. This is where Mack blanks out for a while. And I think we'll get some information that maybe he doesn't have. So this is moving around. There was definitely no reason to go long yet. Okay, slow this down a little bit so we can catch up. You see a large, it was 576 there, a large group of buyers came in. They pumped it up here. You got buyers, these guys sold, but you had these buyers here, and then they moved up and pumped up here. At the very least, you're probably saying, I don't want to take a risk going short here. At the very least, right? At least that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't go short there. Plus the price action's not good. I mean, there's just no reason to take that short. There's nothing going on horizontally. Let's see if it gives us any reason to catch this. We know it goes up. There's a buyer. Oh, okay. Buyer, 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 buyer. You might be worried about this EMA coming in. Rightfully so. But that's a lot of buying coming in. So if your theory is, hey, man, like, I think maybe this is the zone here. This is the horizontal zone. We pushed through it a little bit too much. We pushed through to get enough sellers to start buying again, because we had to run these stops. The guys that were all sitting here with their stops, we had to push through them to go back up. And then you get buyer, 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 buyer. They're waiting on it. And then even if you didn't trust that EMA, you thought, hey, and that's probably smart. You thought, hey, this is a level here. It could horizontally, it could bounce down, it could turn around, we could get a second entry short. Fair enough, man. But look what happens. It comes up, you get another buyer. It comes across, you get another buyer, another buyer, another buyer. Maybe it's worth the risk at this point. You got thin market up through here. You know it's probably going to pump through there quick if that's where it's going, and that's what it does. It pumps through quick. More buyers. This right here, I think, is a buy. This little doji. At least enough to scalp out. I mean, there's no warning signs of a seller going on. So that's a trade I think you could have taken that maybe Mack didn't. And then he comes up to about 854. When it smashes back down, let's see if it gives us any information on that or if it just goes. Ran into a seller here. Quickly changed out to buying, so it's in matching with all this buying. You know, I'm not seeing any anomaly here. You've got all this little mountain of stuff going up. It still goes up over here. But we're back into the thick of it. So we ran up through all this thin market. See this here on the trades? There wasn't a lot of trades that happened in this market right through here. So it was easy to push up through all that thin market where not very many traded before. They didn't do much there again. That's why I kind of ran through it. Now we're up in the thick of it. So now your theory is what's, you know, is it going to set up to push through and come up through here again to maybe retest these highs? Or are we going to come and push back down through the thin once again and kind of try to end up here or beyond? There's no reason to get short as far as I see. You know, maybe you take your profits up here because of the odds of, well, the odds aren't, you know, you just don't know what the odds are here. This is like 50-50 shot that it's going to push up through or come back with all of that volume there. All right. Got a seller came in. You know, we had this period of kind of boredom. I don't know what the hell happened to the seller. He disappeared apparently. All right, there he is. This matches up with it. You got this big ass bar. You knew there was a chance of something happening in all this liquidity here. Or not liquidity, but all this volume. Let's go look at... that was the wrong Max chart. He doesn't have anything marked here. Our bar looks a little better than his. It's more of a down bar. So, I mean, if you wanted to be really aggressive, you take that sell. This is another reason why I don't like trend lines. You draw that trend line, now you're waiting for a long, and then who knows, maybe you get excited about it and get trapped and take a long here because you're thinking that the, of course, well, shit. I mean, we haven't really got a break of new low of that one either, so who knows? That's why I don't like trend lines. They just confuse me. You know, there wasn't a ton of information on that one. Maybe it would have been best to stay out of that. You know, if you're going to make any kind of move there, you follow the price action. You know, it crushes down here. It was backed up with a good sell here, a good sell here. Pork chops are done. Pork chops. Oh, okay. Don't know if you guys saw that. Let's see if we can back that up. All right. This damn program. So there's not, you know, there's not any like thick buyers or sellers lined up here. There's no dark lines, orange, yellow lines. Where did that happen? That happened at 27.15.50. Yeah, that's too low. You know, when that came in, continued to sell off. I mean, I guess you could have tried to ride that train. I don't know if I would have taken that one, but it definitely would have worked in your favor. Where was that again? 27.16 maybe. You probably could have pulled 2 points out of it, but we'll call it a day on that.